Bitcoin is back in the 30s, and like the title said, it may be a little confusing, but this correction makes me super bullish on crypto. In this video, I would like to explain to you why, and I would like to explain to you my thoughts on how low I think this could go and what we can expect after this. But again, this is bullish and people are freaking out. You will be the winner if you are the one that is not freaking out. So let me explain what I'm just talking about, and let's see what this means for the altcoin market as well, as they are getting a little more wrecked than Bitcoin. So if you already like the content, subscribe to the channel, turn the bell notification on. There's a Patreon link down below where you can get exclusive videos, deals, etc. You name it. So Bitcoin is currently back at the 30s, $38,800 at the moment of recording, but it's quite volatile at the moment. So by the time you watch it, it might be lower, higher, same, whatever. That's just what the crypto market does. As you can see, in a matter of like, well, 2 weeks, Bitcoin is down $11,000, right? So people say like, oh yeah, we need the 10K God candle. Well, here you have it. It's only not to the upside as many people would like to see it. That's a little disappointing, but it is a very predictable correction. We talked about this before, and I'm going to show you why this correction was so predictable, and also what I think is next, which is also very predictable. First though, like I said, altcoins are bleeding a little bit harder at the moment. It's not a huge difference, but we see Bitcoin going down. It's down 6.6% on the week. And we see the Bitcoin dominance going up. Not that hard, but it means that more money is coming into Bitcoin compared to the rest of the market. Now, of course, this could also mean that USDT is gaining more dominance, as USDT is also involved in this chart. So if we do take a look at the dominance without USDT, without USDC, and even without Ethereum to really compare Bitcoin to altcoins, still it is up, right? We are in this upward trend right here, and the dominance, it is, showing weakness on the slightly longer time frame. I mean, we already topped out in June, and it's now more than half a year later, and we did not make a new high. And it's now getting rejected by the bull market support band instead of getting dragged up. So overall, I think there will be a shift in the market, which means that altcoins are catching up on Bitcoin, right? And it doesn't mean what they, or it doesn't matter what they do on the dollar pair. Altcoins overall should do well against their Bitcoin pair. And yeah, if Bitcoin goes up, then altcoins go up a lot. If Bitcoin goes down, then altcoins don't go down that hard, basically, right? But what's quite funny is that, if we take the Bitcoin chart and we do overlay the Bitcoin dominance, then you can see it pretty clear, right? So if we put it on the daily chart, this is Bitcoin, and the orange line is the Bitcoin dominance. And as you can see, the dominance has started to go up, and Bitcoin is starting to go down. So like I said, altcoins are getting wrecked a little harder at the moment. It is what it is. We cannot do anything about it. This is the others chart. So this is the top 10 excluding, this is the top 125 excluding the top 10. So also way more actually altcoin related than the total 3, which includes like stable coins and all of that, right? And if we do take a look at this chart, it is like not that crazy yet, right? Like, I mean, we were in this range for a long time. We broke out of it, and now it looks like this here is the new range. So like I said before, can we do something like this? Yeah, we can, and we are now at the lower side of the range. I think it can go a little bit lower though. Now, first, why did I say like, hey, this dip is super bullish to me? Well, let me show you. This dip was like super predictable, right? This is the BLX. This still says $42,000. But hey, you know what the price is, right? $38,000. But this has all the history. Now, like I showed in the last couple of videos already, in every cycle, if you use the Fibonacci tool, right? Like without Fibonacci tool, you just know like, hey, we go down, we go up, and at some point there is a big correction before we really enter the bull market. Here as well, we went up, we went down, and enter the bull market. The thing is though that this correction is not just a correction that's coincidentally there, these corrections are all exactly the same. This shows to me that the 4-year cycle is 100% intact. And sorry to say it, but the Bitcoin ETF had nothing to do with the price going up over the last few months. And it has nothing to do with the fact that it is going down right now. Let me show you why. Because if you take the Fibonacci tool, look where the 0.618 retracement is coming in. We bounce, we see the 0.618, we get rejected. And here we went down 40%. In the first cycle, it's a little different, more, volatility. Like we didn't get rejected at the 618, but still we saw a drawdown in this period of 40%. Now here, 618, 40%. In the last cycle, what do you notice? We bounce, we find the 618, we get rejected. Now this right here was the COVID crash, right? So if you include that, the total correction was like 71%. But that was a black swan. If we do not count that, then the correction was 52%, right? So all at the 618, and after that we saw a 40% correction, 40% correction, 52% correction. Now what happened? We went down, we went up, we went to the 618. Exactly that point, we got rejected, right? Therefore, I said earlier, like, hey, 30K is not my prediction, but it is quite likely, right? Because if we, again, have a 40% correction, yeah, then that's where we go to. Right now, if the cycle wasn't playing out like it always does, I wouldn't be saying like, hey, the 40% correction is something I expect. But like I said, the cycle is exactly playing out the same. Like not just this, but also we found, if we start here, we found a bottom end of 2014. Where did we find the bottom in the next bear market? Exactly 4 years later, end of 2018. Where did we find the bottom in the next market? End of 2022. It topped out end of 2021. It topped out end of 2017. It topped out end of 2013. It's very cyclical, right? Therefore, I'm quite convinced like, hey, you can put any narratives on it that you want, and this time it's the ETF, and this, the reason for this final crash was the FTX collapse, whatever you call it, scam basically. But you can put any kind of narrative to it. But at the end of the day, the chart is doing exactly the same as what it did before. Therefore, I don't really believe in that news and narratives and all of that. If there wasn't an ETF, then there would have been something else, because this is eventually what the chart does, right? So until like this rejection from the 618 happened last week. So it's quite funny that if we look at the cycles so far, hey, we can go all the way back to the beginning of 2010. So for the last 14 years, Bitcoin is behaving the same quite exactly in every 4-year cycle, at least until last week, right? Otherwise we wouldn't got that seasonal correction. So therefore, I'm under the impression like, hey, if it's for like the same for 14 years until the day of today, then a 40% correction is also something we should expect in the coming months. Or it means that won't be the same. But that's saying basically like, yeah, you know what, the last 14 years has been playing out exactly the same, but this next few months will finally be different, right? Like, but that's like not logical to me. Now, 40% correction sounds super scary. Then again, if you look where we got rejected and where we are right now, that's this. It was a wick, but it was a 618 until where we are right now. It's 20%. So we are already halfway there in a matter of 3 weeks, right? So could it be that in the next 3 weeks they will rip the bandit off and that was it? Maybe. Maybe we will do something like this, right? Where it's grinds slowly and then has its last dip and then consolidates for a while once we have the halving, and then start to go up. Like, this is fast, and this is not what everybody wants, but it's at least exciting, right? This was boring as fuck, right? Okay, we also had big candles, but overall this was very sideways for a long time, right? How that's going to play out, that I don't know. Nobody knows, of course, but that I don't dare to predict. I mean, if we look at this drawdown, this was basically a slow bleed. Yes, we got a couple of red weeks right here, but a green week and a red week, like, and that's the thing as well. You can get trapped in that, right? Like, let's say we do something like this. So we go down and people think, fuck, it's over. And then we go up a little bit again and people say, oh, never mind, it's not over. And then we go down again. Oh, fuck. You can completely trade your way out of the market by making stupid decisions right there. But overall, just look at the chart. Like, these were clear high or lower highs and lower lows, right? So it was an obvious downtrend. It's now a little too soon to say how that downtrend is going to look like, in my opinion, since, you know, let me take this chart again. Even if we go all the way back to like 45k, it's still a lower high, right? So even then, the short-term trend could still be bearish. Could still be, right? So that's kind of hard to say. So, but my prediction, I hate the word prediction. Like, I don't know. I have no fucking clue. I can only look at what happened so far and say like, well, yeah, based on that, it's likely that this is going to happen. But hey, who the fuck knows, right? These are all averages. We can do better than average. We can do worse than average. I mean, therefore, it's an average. I'd rather just go with the average. Then you're give or take in the right direction. So if we go with the average, then I would say 40% down. Now we are already 20% down. So another 20% down from here would mean $30,000. Kind of makes sense because this 30k, you know, it could be 30 and a half, could be 29, 28, 32, like give or take. But it kind of makes sense, right? Because here as well, we were going up, we found resistance, we went down, we got rejected right there. So we have a resistance area, we break out, we test it as support before we go up again. Like, but this 30k was a lot of resistance as well, but we never tested that as support. Usually that's also what happens after a breakout. So it could be a big ass delayed retest. Over the longer term, if we go to 30k and we bounce from there, people will freak out if that happens, right? Although it's just 8k below where we are right now. It's not that far, right? We already saw a 11k candle. So another 8k candle, hey, why not? Right? But people will freak out. On the other hand, it will still be a high low, right? So over the longer time frame, like we had a low, we had a higher low, we had a higher low, and 30k would be a higher low, right? So only if we go below $25,000, I'll be careful. But before that happens, I'll be like, yeah, like it kind of sucks if you didn't expect it, but it's not like that weird, right? If we take this line, let's say it happens this week, yeah, 31, right? But what's possible, of course, like we had a big wick to the upside right here. It could be that we go down to like 33, right? Make a stable bottom like we made a top right here and have a wick like below that. So therefore, I would say like, hey, if you want to try to catch the real low prices, set some limit orders because it could just be a wick, right? And it could happen in your sleep or whenever you're doing something else and then you miss it. Don't try to time it too much. You will wreck yourself. Set some limit orders. Set some limit orders that you think like, oh yeah, this is so far down. Hey, you never know, right? You never know. Overall, why did I say that this correction is bullish? Well, I mean, it's very clear, right? How this cycle is again exactly the same, right? We go down and a little up. But what happened after every correction that we had? Bull market, right? A real bull market. Okay, let me clear the noise right here. We had a correction. Yeah, this cycle, fuck this cycle, by the way. It's like so unclear. We had this upwards move. We had a 40% correction. And what happened after that? We went into a real bull market. This cycle as well. We went up, we went down, then we went into a real bull market. What we can do right now is, sorry for that chart again, it's not updated. What we can do right now is up, down, halving, bull market, right? It's so far, at least, after every halving, we have seen a bull market. And yeah, again, Bitcoin is kind of showing us right now like, hey, for your cycle, 100% intact. Okay, cool. That would mean bull market as well. Now, what's interesting though, from open to close until where we are right now, Bitcoin is down 8.5% on the month. If you look at altcoins are down 16.2%. So I'm not saying it will continue like this, where the Bitcoin dominance will keep on going up, whether Bitcoin is going up or down. But do keep in consideration that altcoins can go down more than Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin still has another 20% correction to go from here, I can expect at least also a 20% correction for altcoins, right? And to be honest, slightly more kind of makes sense, because if you take the total altcoin market right here and you take another 20% from where we are right now, slightly more than that, that's exactly also the retest area of our previous fucking hell, what a lines. Of our previous resistance, right? This white line, I had it already. This white line right here. We had a little breakout right here, but it didn't really last, right? But we had a lot of support right here. We had support right here. We had resistance right here. We had resistance right here. And that was a clear range to me. So it would make sense if we retest that level. Now, again, that's slightly more than 20%. That's like 23%, give or take, right? But hey, you know, if I'm throwing a number like 23% and it happens to be 21 or 24, you can always tell me that I'm wrong, give or take. All right, let me cover that already. Now, what does it mean for your altcoins? You know, this week, the altcoin market collectively went down 9%, right? This week. However, you know, every altcoin is behaving different. Chainlink is down, well, exactly 9.5%. Seedify this week is down 9%. Ronin Chain down 11%. Uniswap 10%. Altora 7%. Ultra 9%. Well, it's all hanging around that 9%, right? So if you believe in what I'm saying, if you feel like, okay, it kind of makes sense, what you can do is saying like, well, you know what, I want some AVAX, right? So in general, if it goes down like 23%, where could it go? 23% is like $21 for AVAX. Does it make sense? I don't know why this line is here. And well, whatever. It kind of makes sense, because this was also a huge area for AVAX, right? I can put it on these wicks. I could put it here. I don't know exactly, right? That's tomato. But it lines up, right? It lines up with this area of huge resistance and so support as well. I'm not saying again that it will happen, because, you know, nothing is guaranteed. It's crypto. It's all one big, you know, speculative game. But based on what I've just said, it would make sense if it is going to, let me put it like this. If it happens, I can sit here and be like, yeah, well, yeah, duh, right? Like, but I cannot guarantee it to you right now, of course. Nobody can, right? But what you can do is, if you do feel like, hey, this makes sense, set some limit orders around that area. Set some limit orders, like if you believe that AVAX is going to $21, you put it at 23. Who cares if you miss that $2, right? But set some limit orders right there. I think that it's a good play to go with. IMX, like, hey, yeah, if you went to 23% lower, where could it go? Could go to, oh, what the fuck am I doing? To around 130, give or take. You know, on the chart, there are a lot of things that line up with that level. You see a lot of wicks at this point. So set your limit orders for IMX at 140 or something like that. That's kind of how I'm going to play this right now, because I think a lot of people are scared. They used to green numbers, everything was going up, and now they already see some altcoins being down 50% from the highs. And yeah, if you bought at the wrong time, then you know that's going to scare you. Um, Therefore, unfortunately I've made a poll on the channel saying, hey, did you take your profits? And like the majority said no, it will go up more, right? And over the longer term they are right, but in the meantime, yeah, some altcoins took a pretty big hit. Even Games for a Living, one of the most strong altcoins, which had like 8 green months in a row, um, is now finally having a decent pullback, right? It went down in total already 45%. It's still up a lot, right? It's still up a lot nevertheless. But now it finally, the whole market can cool off a little bit. And yeah, if people say like, yeah, well, just because the ETF, this and that, yeah, that's fine. But still, at the end of the day, the cycle is playing out like the cycle is always playing out. Now, there's always a way to make money in this crypto market, and I think we thanks to this correction, it will make us more money, right? Because I've talked a lot about launchpads like CDFI, mainly, for example, and CDFI is starting to give us better entries as well. CDFI went all the way to 490 and it's already down 46% as well. So you can get these tokens almost 50% cheaper. You can get them half of the price, right? And if you participated in some of these launches, incredible. This is one launch that I've just participated in. It's called Forcana. The tokens were sold in the IDO for 0.012, and it's now at 17 cents. So it did like a 13x. I don't have the tokens yet. It's not as beautiful as it sounds. There's a cliff, right? But hey, it can dump like a lot and I will still be in profits, right? So that's so cool about it. So these IDOs are a great way to make money. It just did a what was the high exactly? It did like a 20x, almost 19x, incredible. So therefore I'm so in love with launchpads. Another launchpad that is coming up is BRC Starter. I think this is super interesting, man. Like the BRC narrative is such a big hype. You know about the Satoshi VM launch. It went absolutely parabolic, and a lot of people saying like, scam project. I don't know. I don't care. I was also not in the sale, by the way, but it also made people money, right? And a lot of BRC projects are looking for their own dedicated launchpad, and that's what BRC Starter is going to be. Now, this token is yet to come out, so they have currently a silly contest going on that you can win some free tokens. I don't know how this platform is going to do, but this is definitely something that I am willing to get into because the narrative is just so hot and the market is now giving us some great opportunities. So do check it out, brcstarter.io. I think like with my love for launchpads and understanding that the BRC hype is I don't know shit about BRC, by the way. That's not for me. But I do recognize that it is something big and that there's a lot of money in there. Yeah, and if you combine these two narratives, then yeah, you know, it's a pretty easy play in my opinion. Overall, how much lower can we go? I think we can see another 20% pullback over the, maybe, you know, maybe it takes like 3 months. Maybe we have a big ass bounce from here and people will say like, oh, you were wrong. Like, yeah, no, but you know, give it some time. But it is finally playing out at least. And that's good. It's for a lot of people that feel like, oh, I didn't really have the entry that I wanted to have. Well, they're coming right now, right? And if you do not have a position in certain projects that you do really like, I would say, hey, you know, start looking at DCAing already, maybe, right? You're now buying at least no AVAX at $50, but at 27, right? You're beating a lot of people still. So it's a good time to be alive, man. That's kind of it. Yeah, I want to leave it right here. Guys, if you like the content, like the content. I'm here every day. Subscribe to the channel, turn the bell notification on. Still, there is a Patreon link down below. Don't want to shield that too much, but there is a lot of valuable content in there, exclusive videos. You get this information first, early calls. So like everything that you feel like I'm going to like this. Weird sentence. And I'm going to quit for today. I'm tired. Bye.